and they're going to sing the national anthem. Maddie McDaniels is their leader. We can all join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm not going to join the national anthem, but you don't want me either. Ready, Maddie?
All good. Great. Ready? Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When you're ready, Maddie.
1, 2, 3. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous times o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
As you can hear, there's a lot of talent up there. They will be performing in March right here in the auditorium. It's always a great take. Madam Clerk, we have a quorum. The warrant has been properly served, so I hereby call this special town meeting to order. Next on the agenda, our town clerk is going to explain how to use the clickers, or clickers.
Okay, good evening. So everybody should have received an electronic voting device. And I just want to let everybody know, you can't take it home with you, can't use it to open your garage door. You have to leave it here when you're finished. So we're going to have a little bit of fun, and we're going to practice first, just so that you get the hang of using these. Okay, and you'll see there's a yes or no button, and when you're asked to vote, you'd vote either yes or no. And you have 30 seconds. We open the clock, and then once we close the clock, your vote is final. So let's start with a test. Is this your first Westwood Special Town Meeting? So using your keypad, either vote yes, 1, or key 2, no. Okay, so the vote is open. We have 30 seconds, and then we're going to close the vote. Okay, so did all of you vote? Did everybody vote? Yep. Everybody? Okay. Okay. So let's try it again. Okay? It's still open, so everybody press either yes if this is your first town meeting, or no if it's not your first town meeting. Okay, that's better. Some of you are holding out on me. And then probably we have some people out there that are checking in that would account for a couple that we have missing. So I think we're good. Everybody here, raise your hand if you've all voted. Everyone voted? Okay, good. All right, we can close the vote. Oh, okay, so more people have, this is their, not their first time, so. Okay, so let's go to the second test question. The current main fire station, Station 1 on High Street, was built in 1948, yes or no? Okay, so let's open the voting. And everybody please vote. Again, you're going to vote the green button for yes and the red button for no.
And it shows okay if
Yep, it shows okay if it's recorded the vote. And I think we're good. Everybody vote? Okay, so let's close the vote. Okay, so 156 people think the fire station was built in 1948. So let me just give you a little bit of history there. A fire station was built on the site in 1906, and due to a faulty furnace, the current station was built in 1948. Okay, so that was, you got that right. It was renovated in 1976, and the apparatus bays were added, and the old ones were converted into offices, watchroom, kitchen, and sleeping quarters. Okay, thank you. So I think we've got another one, another fun one. The firefighter turnout gear and tools weighs 70 pounds, yes or no? Look at all that gear. So again, if you think it does, press yes, the green button. If no, press the red button. We're open. Voting is open. Come on, we're a little slow here. Press your buttons. And this is what we want to see, everybody actively participating. Okay, I think we're good, and I think we can close that vote. Okay, so the majority said that the gear consisted of helmet, gloves, hoods, boots, coats, and pants. The turnout gear can weigh, with the tools, up to 70 pounds. That's a lot of equipment that our firefighters are carrying on themselves, and we're grateful for them. Thank you very much for this test, and does everybody understand now? Everybody get the hang of it? All right, so I'm going to turn it over to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you, Dottie. In order to speak, I need to recognize you, so you want to state your name and your street address. There is a microphone here, and there are two in the back of each aisle. We have two articles this evening. I'm going to read the article, and then on the first article, we'll have a video presentation, and then the chair of the Select Board, Mary Ann LeBlanc, is going to speak, and then there's going to be another presentation. When you speak, there are certain rules of decorum. The town charter says you cannot speak in personalities, which means you cannot say something personally about someone else in town meeting. Please limit your remarks to the article that's before you. If you hear the gavel, that means you should stop speaking. If you're booing or hissing or clapping, I will wrap the gavel. Let's keep it respectful. It's awkward to speak in front of a large group. Everybody deserves the respect to say what they have to say. Tonight we will use the electronic voters, or the clickers, just because we have them. So there'll be no way of challenging the ruling of the vote. The 7-member challenge only applies if it's a voice vote I interpret the voice vote. If you doubt my interpretation, you can challenge that, but since we're going to be using the voting devices, there's no way to challenge that. A motion for reconsideration can only be made once, can only be made the same night of the vote. We should be done tonight. I hope we're not going to go over a second night on 2 articles. And it must be made by somebody who was on the winning side. Okay, we ready to read the first article? This article comes before you on the vote of the Finance and Warrant Commission to see if the town, will vote to raise and appropriate and/or transfer from existing funds the sum of $2,100,000 to pay the costs associated with designing, preparing, and obtaining construction bid documents for a new fire station, Station 1, at the existing location of 637 High Street, Westwood, and to renovate, refurbish, and/or construct temporary quarters at 90 Deerfield Avenue, Westwood, or to take any other action relative thereto. That article requires a majority vote. So I believe first we have a video presentation.
This is a matter of urgency, as our current Fire Station 1, which was built 75 years ago and has not had a major renovation since 1975, is undersized, outdated, inaccessible, and was not built to support the weight of today's apparatus. To provide a little history, in 2022, the Select Board commissioned a feasibility study with respect to Fire Station 1 and an operational study of the fire department, which informed the feasibility study. The feasibility study was presented to the Select Board this past October, and the Board agreed with our consultants that the current site of Fire Station 1 is the most optimal location available for a new fire station. The Select Board then voted to hold a special town meeting to seek the town's approval for funding for the design and bid documents for a new Fire Station 1. 2 articles will be voted on at the special town meeting. Article 1 concerns the funding from free cash for the fire station design and bid documents, and Article 2 is a debt housekeeping article. Fire Station 1 needs to be replaced because it no longer meets the needs of the fire department or the community. It was built in 1948, and despite minor renovations and additions, the station has outgrown its footprint and is now crumbling beyond repair. The current apparatus bay, where the fire apparatus is housed, has crumbling floors supported from below by steel beams in the mechanic bay. The roofing over the bay leaks into storage areas, clean rooms, and dormitories. The dorm leaks have led to health concerns and necessitated air purifiers. The firefighters' turnout gear is housed in the apparatus bay instead of a designated storage area, which does not allow for safe decontamination. The building's heating and ventilation are inefficient and not code compliant. The floor and ceilings are spalling and breaking up around piping, exposing rebar in the mechanical bay. Electrical systems are out of date. The generator does not meet code requirements, nor is it sound attenuated, negatively impacting the fire department and its neighbors. EMS supplies and office space share the operations area used for trainings and meetings, which limits mobility, efficiency, privacy, and security. The living, dining, and even the bathroom areas are now inadequate for the number of firefighters requiring those facilities. The entire fire station is inaccessible for people with disabilities. The estimated cost of the fire station design and bid documents is $3.5 million. Article 1 seeks the town's approval for the allocation of $2.1 million of free cash for this work. The Select Board has already voted to allocate $1.4 million in ARPA funds for the balance, contingent upon passage at the special town meeting. Assuming we move forward with the design phase, our goal is to have bid documents in hand before bringing this back to a future town meeting and asking for construction funds for a new Fire Station 1.
Next, I'm going to invite Select Board Chair Mary Ann LeBlanc to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Good evening, everyone. Mary Ann LeBlanc for Chickadee Lane. As you have heard, Article 1 on tonight's warrant seeks the allocation of $2.1 million from free cash in order to fund the design and bid documents for a new Fire Station 1, our main fire station. Given the structural issues and the myriad other deficits that exist at Fire Station 1, the station needs to be replaced as soon as possible so that we can ensure that the Westwood Fire Department remains safe and able to deliver the exceptional level of service upon which we all depend. Quite simply, the structural integrity of Fire Station 1 is beyond repair, and a plan to simply maintain it as is not a viable option. The station no longer meets the needs of the department or our community, and the structural issues could pose a life safety hazard for our firefighters. With the use of free cash, as well as funds available to the town through ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act, this design and bid work can be done without increasing the tax bill for residents. Free cash is a term to describe the town's available funds balance upon settling up at the end of the fiscal year. Most of you will recall that small capital items are often funded from free cash. I want to remind everyone briefly about the long and deliberate public process which has brought us to this evening. Back in 2013, the town convened a public safety facilities task force comprised of community members, town elected officials, and staff to explore the options with respect to our three aging public safety facilities: the Islington Fire Station, Police Station, and our main fire station on High Street. The task force determined that both the fire and police stations needed larger and more modern facilities to meet Westwood's needs in the 21st century. The task force conducted a disciplined analysis to arrive at its recommendation for a phased approach to address the three public safety facilities, starting with the recommendation to rebuild the Islington Fire Station on the same site, followed by a rebuild of the police station behind the previously existing station. The plan also reflected the need to address the main fire station in the near term. In 2015, town meeting authorized the construction of the new Islington Fire Station, and in 2016, town meeting authorized the construction of the new police station. Both of those projects were funded within Proposition 2.5, without any tax increase to residents outside the limits of Prop 2.5. Since that time, we as a community have focused on the capital needs of the school district with the consolidation of the Hanlon and Deerfield schools in the Pine Hill construction project, with major funding from the MSBA, the Massachusetts School Building Authority. In 2022, the Select Board commissioned the feasibility study with respect to Fire Station 1 and the operational study of the fire department, which you've heard about. These studies led to the recommendation before you tonight that the town proceed with the development of design and bid documents for a new Fire Station 1 at its existing location. If the town chooses to go forward with that construction at a future town meeting, that will, of course, require the relocation of fire department equipment and personnel from the existing location during construction. The feasibility study examined that issue, and the recommendation before you tonight includes funding for the design of the renovation of the American Legion building, which was acquired by the town in 2022, and which is being proposed to temporarily house members of the fire department, as well as for a temporary apparatus bay structure. The renovation of the American Legion building, which has been contemplated for recreational, community, and meeting use, will include making it accessible for future uses by the town after Fire Station 1 is completed. As stated on the video, the conservative estimated cost of the design and bid documents is $3.5 million. At this feasibility stage, the estimated construction cost, which was developed by a professional cost estimator and is based primarily on square footage and general building components, is up to $40 million. The design and bid process will enable us to obtain a bona fide construction price on which we as a town can make a decision at a future town meeting. As the design process is expected to take approximately 1 year, the earliest we would vote on construction is in 2025. The design process will include the opportunity for community engagement and significant involvement of the fire department in design schematics. Article 1 was presented at a public hearing before the Finance and Warrant Commission in December of 2023, and FinCom voted unanimously to recommend to this special town meeting that you vote in favor of Article 1. As always, we wish to thank all of the members of the Finance and Warrant Commission for their substantial public service. This is about making an informed decision. Only by obtaining the proposed design and bid documents will we as a community be in an informed position to decide if and how a new Fire Station 1 will be constructed. I urge you to vote in favor of Article 1 so that together we can responsibly address our public safety needs and make that informed decision at a future town meeting. I am very pleased now to introduce Don Walter from the architectural firm of Doran Whittier, which has performed the feasibility study on Fire Station 1 and which has been a valued partner with the town of Westwood and a number of our neighboring communities for many years, having served as the architect on the Islington Fire Station and other Westwood projects. Don is a registered architect and a principal with Dorr and Whittier, and he will provide you with further details regarding the projected cost and timeline of the proposed design and bid process. Thank you for your kind attention. I will now turn this over to Don Walter.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Moderator, members of town meeting, thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. Again, I'm Don Walter, I'm principal with Doran Whittier Architects, and with me tonight is Jason Harris, who is our public safety expert, programmer, and designer from in-house. So if there's any questions that either myself or Jason can answer throughout this evening, we are most happy to do so. So, as Mary Ann mentioned, we had the pleasure of doing the study in 2014, which led to Islington and the police station, and then we came back and did the updated study for Fire Station 1. And what you see up here on the screen is a comparison to Islington on the left, the existing square footage of Fire Station 1, and the proposed square footage of the new. Now, we don't just come up with this number. This actually came about by doing fire department questionnaires, working with key administrators in the department to develop the program spaces that go into this new facility. And as you can see, it's 1.5 times larger than what they have now, so they're drastically undersized. So the basic program spaces consist of the apparatus bays, maintenance, support, training, administrative, living spaces. So there's a lot of program that goes into this building. Next slide. We also had conducted basically a station location study in operations, and big part of fire departments and where they're located have to do with being able to get to the incidents in the quickest time. So 3 to 4 minutes is ideal. And so what we ended up focusing on really is, you can see the A and the D, that's the existing fire station. So we looked there at both addition and renovation and new options. We actually looked at the existing town hall as a possible location. And you can imagine if a fire station were to go there, we're now buying another project with what happens with town hall today. So that didn't seem like a great solution. And then the B site is a town-owned site down off of High Street, which is actually landlocked. So it wasn't a great site, didn't have good frontage on High Street, so that was eliminated. So next slide. So we ended up with the new option on the existing site. So what you see up here is the existing building. The red is the footprint. High Street is on the bottom of the slide. This is a sloping site from High Street back down. It actually drops about a full story to the back. So that's the existing building. And the new proposed, you get a sense of what that footprint looks like and how much space the fire department actually needs. So if we go to the next slide, the solution is actually a 3-story solution. If you focus on the middle slide first, this is the High Street first floor elevation. So 5 apparatus bays that you see in red. In green, you see administrative space. The lighter red is support space for the apparatus, where the turnout gear is kept, SCBA, medical supplies, things of that nature, all on that High Street level. You look to the left, that's the lower level. That's down behind the existing building, and there's great need for meeting space, for training space. That's the large green space that you see down here. And the maintenance bay that they have now, which you saw the temporary structure supporting the floor above, that would be out in the back, as well as all of the support space for the building systems and whatnot, and training and exercise. And then the second floor, even though it's a 3-story building, there's only 2 elevations that you'll see on High Street. What you see in red is all the administrative space, and to the right, the gold color are the living quarters. So that's how the building would basically lay out. And I just want to point out, this is still conceptual. There's still a lot of work to do with the fire department on both the program and that layout. But this is a test fit. This shows how the building could work on this site. The imagery that we're showing here, it's interesting. We actually took our cues from not only the original 1906 fire station, we also looked at Town Hall, we looked at the police station, we looked to Islington Fire Station, we looked to the library, and all the great architecture that runs along High Street. So this is, again, an early concept of how the fire station may look on High Street, trying to pick up a little bit on the residential feel through there, picking up a little bit on the clock tower like we were able to do out in Islington. So that gives you a chance to dream a little bit. And then so to construct this, we have to relocate the fire department on a temporary basis. So the American Legion has been targeted as the location to do that. So what we're proposing to do, and you see the plans in the upper right, are basically to renovate the 2 floors into offices and to living quarters, and as Marianne said, to make the building accessible and bring in all proper electrical, mechanical, plumbing, and fire protection into that building. But we can't park fire apparatus in this building. So the block that you see to the left of the plan that's in gold, that'll be a temporary structure or a tensile or tent type structure where the apparatus can be stored. That it will be heated. It'll have evacuation for exhaust evacuation in there also, but that is something that will be needed for apparatus storage. And kind of the beauty of this temporary solution, as opposed to saying going someplace and doing trailers for living and then doing this tent structure for the apparatus, is that you get to use the space afterwards. Mary Ann spoke of the needs of the community for office and meeting space, and this is something that could happen in this building once the firefighters vacated to move into the new building. Next slide. So what's it going to cost? Again, conceptual, although we did go through with our professional estimator, PM&C. The cost per square foot was a test as to what's going on today and looking out into the future. About a 5% escalation we're seeing over the next year. And you can see the different line items. The construction is estimated to be between 30 and 33 million. The early design, owner's project management services. Because of the size of the project, you have to hire an independent owner's project manager as well as the design team. And then we have an unforeseen conditions contingency built into this number 2, because there's just so much about the existing building we don't know right now, and so much about the American Legion we just don't know right now. We thought it best to have a slush fund, right? So if this money is not expended, it would go back to the community. So that's just a piece of money that's sitting off to the side if it's needed. And then continuing down, you'll see the rest of the design, OPM services during construction, and then soft costs are your furnishings, your equipment, your technology, everything that needs to get plugged into the building after it's occupied. So somewhere between $37 and $41 million is estimated right now. So the money that's being sought tonight is the $3.5 million. We're showing it here with this dial. 2.4 million of that is for the design team, so architecture, civil engineering, landscape, your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection is all included with that. To design this through schematic design, design development, and construction documents, and put it out to bid. So the beauty of this approach is that the next time this group comes back to town meeting, there will be a bid in hand. So there'll be no speculation as to what the cost is going to be. You're going to know when that ask is then made. In the gold section, you'll see $250,000. That's for investigative work, survey, geotechnical, hazardous materials, going through the permitting process with the town. So all that is part of this early money. The $450,000 that is for that owner's project manager that I mentioned, and then the $400,000 for the unforeseen costs. So this approach is not unique to Massachusetts, but it's not done probably as much as it should be. If you look up here, before 2020 or before COVID, we had a pretty good handle on what cost escalation is going to be. On an annual basis, you'll see construction costs increase over time. Very rarely does it stay flat. Even less frequently do you see the cost go down. But we typically see anywhere from a 2 to 3% annual escalation. When COVID hit and we ended up with a lot of the supply chain issues, we saw tremendous spikes in costs, and you'll see in the bottom that 2021 5%, 2022 14% increase. That no estimator is going to guess what that's going to be, and then 7% for 2023. So that's another reason why it's good to take this approach that we're taking with going through design, through bidding, and then coming back later. We do see that escalation settling down. The bid numbers have been more favorable recently. We're hoping that trend does continue, but we are carrying a 5% escalation out to through the next year through bidding. And then lastly, next slide. The schedule. We're here tonight on the 17th. You'll hire an architect sometime after this successful meeting, and then go through, and it's about a 12 to 14 month design and bidding period. So that'll bring you right up into next spring. It'll allow you to come to a May town meeting in debt exclusion if required, votes, which will allow construction to start next June. First thing that needs to happen is the temporary quarters need to be done. That's about a 7-month process. And then after the firefighters move into there, abatement, demolition, and then new construction of the new facility on the existing site with an occupancy about August of 2027. So altogether, about a 27-month program. So that's all that I have. Thank you.
Walter, I think we're now ready to open it for discussion. As I said, there are standing microphones at the end of each aisle. If someone has mobility issues, we have high school students on either side with handheld microphones. They can run them out to you. So, is there any discussion on Article 1? Hearing none, seeing none. Are we ready for a vote? Oh, okay, we do have someone. It is difficult to see from here with the lights in my eyes, so don't be afraid to speak up if I don't see you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
What street?
Brian Kamaker, 95 University Avenue. It's somewhat disturbing that a few years back, when the override for the $87 million elementary school was going through, that there was no discussion that this was coming up, an additional $40 million project. Had the community known about that, when, as I said, when that override was rushed through, maybe there would have been a different vote. And as I understand, that $87 million project is experiencing some cost overruns right now. And so I think that the town officials need to be honest as to what's coming up next after this. Are there other projects? Are there other big things that are going to require large amounts of money? And of course, the other question is if this is such a huge safety issue that's immediate, why wasn't this done 5 years ago? Why did they wait until now? But anyway, I think all of those questions are pertinent, particularly what's coming up on the horizon and what else we're going to need an override for. So thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion? Mr. Riddick? And just a reminder, there is a 5-minute limit on how long you can speak.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Peter Ittig of Big Holiday Drive. And first, I would like you to be aware of a detail that while the warrant article calls for $2.1 million, the total cost of this design proposal is $3.5 million, with the remainder to be taken from federal ARPA funds, which could be used for other purposes. But on the basic issue, I recommend supporting the new fire station, but not now, as it will require another override in order for construction to take place. I'm concerned that Westwood property taxes are now quite high in comparison with nearby communities, and we've just had a 12% increase in the average property tax on single-family homes for this fiscal year. This is a substantial hit to the taxpayers. A logical time to do another override is when one of our existing overrides rolls off, perhaps when the new library is paid off. In the meantime, I believe the town should maintain town buildings and not allow them to deteriorate to the point where they need to be replaced. This seems to be a continuing issue in Westwood. I'm also concerned that there are additional override proposals in the works. you may want to see the total package of proposed overrides before voting on the various pieces, of which this is only one. In my opinion, this is not a good time for another override and another tax increase on homeowners. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that'd like to speak? Over here on the left side. On my left.
Should I?
No, we'll get you another. You could try the standing mic if you like. Remember, please state your name and your address.
Hear me now? Okay, there we go. Matthew Cavanaugh, 40 Whitney Ave. My question is around the comment that was made that the current buildings are not feasibly salvageable. And I'm wondering how we came to this conclusion. Is there a study available to us to look at? Was there multiple companies engaged to make that decision? Yeah, because I'm just curious, like, why, when I get a leak in my roof, I don't rip the house down and replace it. I try to fix things as they come, right? So that's what I'm curious about. Is that available to us, any of those studies?
I'll give Mr. Walter permission to speak again.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Actually, here's the study right here. It was Doran Whittier and our team of consultants went through the site and the building. So our civil engineer, landscape architect, structural engineer, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, fire protection, and our hazardous materials consultant. So we've actually had 2 cracks at this because we went through in 2014, and as you can imagine, while Islington went first, police station went second, fire station number 1 could have gone at the same time because of its condition. So it's only 10 years older now, and while it's been maintained over that time, it certainly hasn't gotten any better. So yeah, there's a lot of good information here if anyone would like to read it.
Any other discussion? Hold on. Before you get a chance to speak a second time, is there anybody else who'd like to speak? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Kavanaugh.
Hello. The other part of that question I had was around, did we get a second opinion or a third opinion on whether these buildings were able to be retrieved? It's not that I don't trust them. It's just that usually when I'm going to spend $40 million, well, I've never spent $40 million, but if I were to, I would get a second opinion. So I'm wondering, did we get a second opinion?
I'm sorry, this light is in my eye, so I can't see you, but the town paid for the feasibility study that we had performed. We did not pay for a second feasibility study beyond that. And we were fortunate to have the firm of Doran Whittier perform that work, given their proven track record in our community.
I see someone in the back, my right.
Hi, Sandra. No.
Hello. Hi, 54 Birch Street, Sandra Castaldini. I had a question. I just want to clarify. Would a yes vote to this article mean that we are putting out to bid a 38,000 square foot firehouse, or would there be an opportunity to look at a smaller size?
Just as a point of order, the yes vote is just authorizing the town to spend $2.1 million.
It refers to a bid, and I know the recommendation for the bid was 38,000 square foot, and then I saw on a different slide 36,000 square foot. So I just want to ask, I'm excited about the opportunity to get a better firehouse, but I want to know if we vote yes, is it only for a big one, or do we have an opportunity to look at size?
The size of the design to be done is not final. So what has been done is based on projected programming, but that size and what is needed in the fire station will be determined through the design process with engagement from the community and particularly with input from the fire department. So to answer your question more specifically, there is not a set number of square feet that has been determined at this point. What we have is what we have gleaned through the feasibility study. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? We have one over here on the left again.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Elena Pushak. I'm at 40 Whitney Ave. My question is, how much did all of the research cost that the town, the taxpayers, paid the architect to do this? Yeah, the feasibility study. How much did all of this research cost?
How much did the feasibility study cost is what
Yes,
you're asking?
that's my question.
Approximately $72,000.
Okay. I have one more question. Well, comment maybe. We have the plans for the Islington Fire Station. Instead of spending millions of dollars creating a new design, why can't the architects who actually designed Islington take that design and tweak it and not spend millions of dollars on a new design?
The answer is that the main fire station needs to support a great deal more programming than the Islington station. There is much more work that is done out of our main fire station and much more apparatus that is housed there. So we can't, although it would be nice if we could just tweak the blueprint for Islington, that is not going to work for the needs of our main fire station.
I think you might run into public bidding laws as well. Any other discussion? Get the gentleman back here at the microphone.
Richard Pastor, 355.
We're having a little trouble hearing. Try again. Yeah, that's not working, Mr. Pastor. Hold on a second, please.
This working? Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm also the commander of the Westwood American Legion, and through you, Mr. Moderator, to the Select Board, I'd like to hear some discussion about what the plan is for the naming of the American Legion through our contract we have with the town when we sold the building to maintain the name American Legion there, and also our rights for 10 years to conduct meetings and to have an office and storage space. And while you're going to do this renovation, I'd like to know what you're going to do with the American Legion, whether we're going to keep our name on the building and whether we're going to be able to use it. So, Select Board, if you could speak on that, that'd be much appreciated.
Thank you for the question, Dick. Clearly, while the building is being renovated, no one is going to be able to use it. Certainly for the period that the fire station uses it, if we move forward, the American Legion will need to conduct its business elsewhere. And I understand that arrangements have been made recently at the COA and other places, and I further understand that the renovations to this building have been contemplated since the time of the acquisition of the building, and that I understand that we'll be working with the Legion perhaps to extend the lease if necessary if the Legion is unable to use the building for a period of time.
Is there any other discussion before I go back to Mr. Pastor? We've got a woman over here on the left.
Hi, Catherine Butner, 71 Colburn Street. I agree that the fire station could use some improvements, but I'm a little bit surprised that we haven't heard any information about how this impacts the town. Like, for instance, how many calls do they respond to each year, and how are they hampered in getting to those calls by the current fire station? I'm just surprised that we haven't heard any information about that. So is there any information that could be shared?
Thank you for the question. I would refer you to the operational study that was performed and the feasibility study, both of which are on the website and which have been discussed at numerous public meetings. Both of those studies detail the conditions in Fire Station 1, which for any of you who have been there at any time in the last number of years, I think you will agree they are deplorable. And I know that Chief Lund is here and could speak to that better than I could. I was there this morning trying to have a meeting with firefighters, and there was dripping water into a bucket in the main meeting room. I'm just going to take a moment to say that I had another great opportunity to speak with a bunch of firefighters this morning. And in asking them about their concerns, a very young firefighter told me that what is of greatest concern to him is the lack of decontamination in that fire station and the concerns that he has, very real concerns about their increased risk of cancer due to that, which for any of you following the science is very real. That station is deplorable. It impacts the morale of our staff. It impacts their safety on a daily basis. It impacts our investment in our apparatus, and it is at risk of further deterioration. And all of the details of that can be found both in the operational study and the feasibility study. Thank you.
Mr. Campion, did you want to speak?
I did. Thank you, Mr. Monterey. Jack Campion, 6 Brookfield Road. In the write-up that we received, the FinCom said it looks forward to the completion of the project to get some benefits in terms of lower insurance costs and higher fire response rating from the Insurance Services Office. So I wonder if someone from the Commission could brief us on that quickly. What does that mean?
Mr. Parita?
Good evening, Chris Parita, 155 Willett Circle. I currently serve as the Vice Chair of the FinCom. Every fire unit in the country is rated by that organization, and what the town might pay in insurance costs depends on that rating, much the same way that your home insurance costs depend on what you tell the insurance company, what type of electricity you have, what type of plumbing you have, how old it was built, et cetera, et cetera. So that rating is very important in determining what the town is viewed compared to other firefighter units and what we have to pay for insurance. Does that answer your question?
Mr. Pastor, you ready again?
I am, thank you. Through you, Mr. Moderator, to the Select Board. As a follow-up question, I just want to make sure that you're aware that we have a significant amount of stored material in the American Legion. What, if any, plans do you have to store that while all this project is taking place?
You're earning your money tonight, Madam Chair.
Just stay up here. Dick, I'm not aware of a specific plan in place at this time, but I'm sure that we will work with the American Legion to accommodate their storage needs.
Thank you.
All right. I don't see anybody. Is there another hand? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Hello, Claire Galkowski, 320 Dover Road. I was really not happy to get my last tax bill, and I'm sure most of the rest of you weren't either. However, I would like to share a cautionary tale from a neighboring town that I lived in several years ago. They had a highway garage that was declared structurally unsound. The select board proposed they put out a study, they looked at renovation, they looked at replacement. It was decided early on that it should be replaced. Town meeting sent them back to the drawing board, said, we want more details on how much it would cost to renovate. The following May, there was a snowstorm, and the roof collapsed, and it crushed a car, and it's just by the grace of God that nobody got killed. Deferred maintenance should never happen, but it does, and I would rather pay a little more in taxes and have our public servants be kept safe than be pinching pennies and worrying about, I know the tax increases are never a happy thing to do, but we have to maintain our buildings, and we have to maintain our own homes, or we pay more later on. So that's just my comment. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? I see one. Just keep in mind, we're just voting on the bid documents tonight. We're not voting on a new fire station. That'll come in May of 2025, perhaps.
Hi, Olga Pushak at 5 Metcalf Road. After seeing and hearing a lot of the information tonight, of course, I think a lot of us obviously agree that we do need a new fire station and to make sure that our firefighters are safe and our town is safe. I guess it's just numbers that scare us. And so with that being said, you have a lot of projects, the school, the Canton Street corridor, things like that. I guess just being a resident, 23 years in Westwood with 2 kids, taxes going up, single mom, I'm just really concerned about these numbers that you're throwing out there.
Okay, there's a motion to move the question. Is there a second? A motion to move the question requires a 2/3 vote. All in favor of moving the question, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. It does appear to be a 2/3 vote. It is a 2/3 vote in favor of a motion to call the question. So, on Article 1, using your voting devices, if you're in favor of the article, you want to click on the green button, 1A. If you're opposed to the article, click on the other one. Voting is now open. Everybody's had a chance to vote? All right, let's close the vote. It is a vote in favor. We're now on to Article 2. Article 2 comes before special town meeting on the recommendation of the Finance and Warrant Commission by unanimous vote that the town vote to abandon the purchase of a fire multi-purpose vehicle for which $400,000 was authorized to be borrowed under Article 12 of the warrant at the annual town meeting held on May 3rd, 2021, and transfers the $400,000 borrowed to pay costs of purchasing the fire multi-purpose vehicle, to pay a portion of the cost of the Hanlon School project, so-called, which project was approved by vote of the town under Article 1 of the warrant at the town meeting held on October 18, 2021, thereby reducing the $84,610,386 authorized to be borrowed to pay the costs of that project by $400,000. Is there any discussion on, no, I guess we have a presentation. Stephanie? Stephanie McManus, Finance Director and Assistant Town Administrator.
Thank you. Don't worry, it's not a full presentation. I just wanted to sort of clarify what that language means that was written by the town's bond council, and it's very technical. So Article 2 is what we're calling just a debt housekeeping item. The overall intent of the article is to just bring the town in compliance with regulations around borrowing. So as the moderator read, in May of 2021, town meeting authorized the borrowing of a $400,000 fire multi-purpose vehicle. That debt was issued in April of 2022. The vehicle for which those funds were borrowed is no longer able to be procured. The purpose of this Article 2 is to transfer the $400,000 that was previously borrowed for the fire vehicle to the elementary school construction project, thereby reducing the total amount authorized to be borrowed by $400,000. So we have these funds that were previously borrowed, and this article is just looking to move that amount to pay a portion of the school project. And to be clear, it will not increase the school project budget. It will just reduce the overall remaining borrowing authority, which is the debt that has been authorized but not yet issued.
And this article requires a 2/3 vote. Is there any discussion on Article 2? Hearing none, seeing none, we're now ready to vote. Using your electronic devices, if you're in favor of Article 2, press the 1A green button. If you're opposed, press the red 2B button. Voting is now open. All right, everybody's had a chance to vote? Voting is now closed. And it is a 2/3 vote. Article 2 passes. Thank you, everyone. Is there a motion to dissolve the meeting? Is there a second? All in favor of dissolving the special town meeting, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Don't forget 2 things. Return your voting devices and get out to see all that jazz in March. Those kids were great. Thank you, everybody.